Hello, thanks for watching this YouTube channel. In continuation of our previous video on quadratic equation, this time around we shall be talking about use of completing the square method to solve quadratic equation. At the end of this lesson, learners should be able to solve quadratic equation using completing the square method. So it means you should be able to use completing the square method whenever you are asked to do so. Once you're able to watch this video to the end, you'll be able to do that and the problem is solved. So I'm Abdullah Okwemi Falade. I'm a mathematics instructor. I'll take you through this in a simpler way. So our focus is to use completing the square method like we stated earlier. Example 1. Solve 3x squared minus x minus 4 equals 0 using completing the square method. How do we use completing the square method? We have 5 steps in solving quadratic equation using completing the square method. The first step, please take notes. I've demystified this concept. I know a couple of times students find it difficult to use this method. They are scared, they get confused at the point. I can understand. I used to be. But I'm telling you the secret of solving quadratic equation using completing the square method in this video. And I'm convinced that you will smile at the end of this video if you have ever had any challenge using this method. It's very simple. That is the best method I like using. Okay, so take note of the 5 steps involved. Step 1, transfer the constant term to the right side of the equation. This is the given equation, which is in a standard form of quadratic equation. Take the constant term to the other side. So plus 4 to the other side will give minus 4 to the other side will give plus 4. Minus 4 to the other side will give plus 4. So we have 3x squared minus x equals 4. So that was the first step. Based on my experience, I'm able to come up with 5 steps. And if you follow these 5 steps, you will get your solution accurately. Second step, having done the first step by taking the constant term to the other side, where we have 3x squared minus x equals to 4, divide through by the coefficient of the quad term. So you need to divide all this by the coefficient of the quad term. And what do we mean by this? We mean the coefficient of x squared. If it is y squared, coefficient of y squared. If it is p squared, coefficient of p squared. So you need to divide through each of these terms by the coefficient of x squared, which I call the coefficient of quad term. Okay? So by the time you do that, this is what we're going to have. Can you see we have a 3x squared over 3 minus x over 3 equals 4 over 3. And the 3 cancel out. It implies we have x squared minus x over 3 equals to 4 over 3. So by the time you divide through by the coefficient of x squared, which is the coefficient of the quad term, you are left with x squared minus x over 3, which is equals to 4 over 3. Once again, don't forget, you transfer the constant term to the right side of the equation. You divide through by the coefficient of the quad term. So let's look at the third step. So the step 3 is the most sensitive and challenging part. Very simple when you follow this step. When you follow the instruction here, it becomes simpler. Just follow the instruction. So the instruction is add to both sides. I repeat, add to both sides. What do you need to add? Half square coefficient of midterm in step 2. So in step 2, you have x squared minus x over 3 equals to 4 over 3. So you need to know what is the coefficient of the midterm. So in this case, what we mean by the midterm here will be minus 1 over 3. This is minus x over 3, which means minus 1 over 3x. Minus 1 over 3 times x. So coefficient means something very close with operation of multiplication between something. So if the coefficient of x is minus 1 over 3, because we have minus 1 over 3 times x, which is 1 minus x over 3. So the coefficient of midterm is minus 1 over 3. So what do you need to do with it? You need to take half of it, put it in bracket, and square. So that's the meaning of this. The first thing, get the coefficient of the midterm. In this case, we have minus 1 over 3. Find half of that minus 1 over 3, put it in a closed bracket, and square it. That's the meaning of half square. So whatever you have as your result, add it to the both side of the equation here. So let's see. At the left hand side, I have x squared minus x over 3 plus, I need to take half of the coefficient, which is 1 over 3, everything bracket square, equals at the right hand side 4 over 3 plus the same thing, 1 over 3, 1 over 2 times minus 1 over 3 bracket square. So move further. By the time you move further, what you have in that bracket at the left hand side will be minus 1 over 6. So x squared minus x over 3 plus, open bracket, minus 1 over 6 squared equals 4 over 3 plus, open the bracket, minus 1 over 6, close the bracket, square. Hope it's becoming interesting. Yes. So let's move on to the next step. Step 4. We've talked about the first 3 steps. Now we are at the 4th step. Step 4. Factorize the left hand side completely. So you need to factorize this, and this is very, very important. So the trick, the logic of you trying to factorize this, just pick x, which is the variable or non-variable in consideration. Open a bracket, pick x, and take what you have in the bracket here to it, close it and square. This is what I mean. I pick up x because I know x is the unknown variable in consideration. And I come to this bracket. What do I have inside this bracket? I have minus 1 over 6. I put it beside it. You can see x minus 1 over 6. Close it, square. I can assure you 100% if you open this bracket, x minus 1 over 6, close bracket, squared, you will have what is here at the left hand side. You can try it. I can do that for you offhand. How do I do that? I can do this. You take the square of x. So in this case, we have x raised to the power 2, which is x squared. Hope you're getting that. X raised to the power 2, which is x squared. Multiply x by minus 1 over 6. That's minus 1 over 6x. Now multiply your result by 2. You are left with minus x over 3 plus minus 1 over 6 squared, which is what you have here. So this logic of factorizing the left hand side, it works 100%. Once again, pick the variable in consideration. In this case, we have x. That's why you see x here. Go to whatever you have here. Close your eyes with this. Go to whatever you have inside this bracket. Put it here. Close it and put square. Try to expand this. You will get what you have at the right hand side. Okay, let's proceed. The equality sign, 4 over 3 plus, open the bracket, 1 over 6, everything bracket square. So the next thing is to continue. So at the right hand side, I try to open this bracket. I have 1 over 36. And I will move further to find the LCM, which is 36. 3 in 36, that is 12. 12 times 4, that is 48. Plus 3 in 36, 1 times 1, 1. That's 48 plus 1. That gives 49. So the next step, which is the last step, is to take the square root of both sides. So by the time you take the square root of both sides, at the right hand side you have plus or minus square root of 49 over 36, and this is what I mean. So by the time I take the square root of both sides, the square root goes away with the square, and I can know that the square root of 49 is 7 and the square root of 36 is 6. So I've just solved that simple equation, and you can see, can you see? You take this to the other side of the equation, you have plus or minus 7 over 6 plus 1 over 6. And by the time you segregate them, you have a minus 7 over 6 plus 1 over 6. That's give you minus 7 plus 1 over 6. Or this will be plus 7 plus 1 over 6. And by the time you do that, you have your x to be equals to minus 1 or 4 over 3, because 8 over 6 is 4 over 3. So hence we conclude that x is equals to minus 1 or 4 over 3, which is the same result when factorization method was used. So if you check what is the result when you used factorization method to solve the same problem, which I've already given that assignment in the previous video, that you should use factorization method to solve this problem, you will realize that you will get the same results as using this completing the square method. Okay, so I think you find this interesting. If you are watching this video for the first time, please do not forget to press the subscribe button, press like, share, and put your comment at the below. You put your comment below, and you can even suggest if there is any topic of interest you would like me to produce video on. So I'll be happy to do that, and I'll be glad to respond to all comments. Thank you so much. So do this on your own. You try to use completing the square method to find the solution to this quadratic equation, y squared minus 4y plus 4 equals 0. And the second one is ax squared plus 4x plus c equals 0. And if you're able to solve this using completing the square method, I can testify, I can assure you that you have already worked towards getting the quadratic formula. So which will be our discussion in the next video, the quadratic formula. So ability to use completing the square method to solve the standard form of quadratic equation generates quadratic formula. So we shall talk more about that in our next video. So p squared minus 6p minus 5 is equals to 0. 3x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. 27y squared minus 6y minus 3 equals 0. 2z squared minus 7z minus 9 equals 0. So thanks for watching, and meet you in the next video.